My sister demanded I name my newborn after her dead fiancé. I refused. She called me heartless. Then I found out what really happened the night he died, and suddenly, everyone stopped speaking her name. I'm Lauren, 31, female. I just had a baby boy, my first, and I should be basking in new mom bliss. But instead, I'm sitting alone in my living room with formula spit up on my hoodie, staring at a broken picture frame and wondering how the hell things got this bad with my sister. Her name's Emily. She's 34, female, and up until a few months ago, she was my person. My emergency contact, my late-night crying phone call, the one who helped me pack when I left my cheating ex, who brought Ben & Jerry's and wine when I miscarried at 28 weeks 2 years ago. We were close. Not just talk once a week. Close. I mean the kind of close where you can tell someone's lying just by how they blink. Where your arguments are vicious because you know exactly how to hurt each other. That kind of blood-deep, complicated love. Then she lost Kyle. Kyle was Emily's fiancé. 36, male, died in a single-car crash just over a year ago. Drunk driver, according to the report. Emily was destroyed. I don't even have a better word for it. She disappeared into grief like she was trying to drown in it. Wouldn't eat, wouldn't shower. She moved back in with our mom for a few months, barely spoke a word, and I was there. I brought her groceries, cleaned her place, took her dog to the vet when she forgot appointments. I never asked her to get over it. I just stayed. That's why what happened after my son was born hit so hard. I'd known the name game would be emotional. Emily had made a few vague comments during my pregnancy. You know, Kyle had always loved the name Jonah. Or, if I ever had a son, I'd name him after him. But I didn't think she meant my son. I thought she was just grieving, imagining the life she didn't get. My partner, Jason, 35, male, and I had picked out Alec months ago, short for Alexander. It was my grandfather's name. He raised me after my dad bailed, and he died of cancer 2 years ago. Alec felt right. It felt earned. So when Alec was born, I texted our family group chat with a photo and his name. Emily didn't respond for 6 hours. Then she sent one text. You really didn't even consider Kyle. No emoji, no congrats. Just that. I told myself it was just grief. She was spiraling. But then she showed up at the hospital the next day while I was still recovering from a 14-hour labor. She brought a baby blanket she'd knitted, navy blue with Jonah stitched into the corner. I tried to smile. Told her gently we'd already named him Alec, that we appreciated the gift, but it wasn't his name. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You're seriously naming him that? When you know what Kyle meant to me? I said, it's not about Kyle. This is about Alec. She called me heartless. Said Kyle was more family to her than Jason ever would be. Then she walked out and slammed the hospital door so hard the window rattled. It only got worse from there. Emily didn't speak to me for a week after that. Not a text, not a call. My mom said she was processing, which in Emily speak usually meant she was nursing a grudge and building it into a mountain. Meanwhile, I was navigating sleepless nights, cracked nipples, and this overwhelming fear that I was somehow screwing everything up with Alec. Jason did what he could, but he went back to work 2 days after we got home. No paid paternity leave at his company, and I was mostly on my own. Then, 10 days postpartum, Emily showed up at our front door. No warning, just knocked like the past week hadn't happened. She was holding the damn Jonah blanket again, folded neatly this time. Jason answered. I could hear her say, Is Lauren here? I just want to talk. He hesitated. Called out for me. I told him it was fine. She sat down on the couch, barely glanced at Alec asleep in his bassinet, and just launched into it. No hello. I've been thinking, she said, and I really think you should consider changing his name. Jonah is a legacy. It would mean something. My mouth dropped open. Emily, we've already filed the birth certificate. I don't care. Names can be changed. Legally. It's not that hard. People do it all the time. I stared at her. Do you hear yourself? You don't understand what Kyle meant to this family, she snapped. He was supposed to be here. He was supposed to have a son. I don't get to have that now, but you could at least honor him. I was shaking. I could feel my stitches throbbing with every heartbeat. This isn't your child, Emily. This isn't about you. That's when she stood up and, God, I'll never forget this part. She walked over to the bassinet, stared down at Alec, and said, You're wasting him. Jason stepped between them so fast I swear the air cracked. Back the hell up, he said, low and dangerous. Emily jerked back like she'd been slapped. Her face twisted. Not scared. Just shocked anyone dared push back. You're letting him dictate things now? She hissed at me. Kyle would've. Don't, I said. Don't you dare say his name again in this house. She left. Again. But this time she didn't slam the door. This time she posted on Facebook a long, weepy paragraph about grief, stolen legacies, how some people in the family only care about themselves and how heartbreaking it is when you try to honor someone's memory and get told you're crazy. And because grief makes people stupid, half the family took her side. My aunt messaged me saying, Maybe you could have compromised. Compromise? On naming my son after someone else's dead fiancé? Jason was livid. I blocked Emily from everything that night. I thought that would be the end of it. But then Emily showed up at my mom's house with a framed photo of Kyle and placed it next to Alex's baby photo. That photo? It wouldn't stay framed for long. It was my mom who told me about the photo. She called a few days later in that I'm not taking sides, but tone she always uses when she's absolutely taking sides. She just wanted to feel close to him, she said. It's not a big deal. She set up a shrine next to my kid's baby picture, I snapped. Mom sighed. You know how emotional she's been? She just needed something. She needs therapy, not a visual hallucination of someone else's future superimposed on mine. I could hear her flinch through the phone. Lauren, be compassionate. And maybe that's what broke me, because I had been compassionate for over a year. I held Emily's grief like it was my job, let her collapse on me, scream, ghost me, guilt me, dump every ounce of her pain on my chest like I wasn't grieving too, just differently. And now I was postpartum, healing from a second-degree tear, barely sleeping, milk leaking through my bra, and my reward for surviving childbirth was this, an unhinged campaign to rename my son in honor of someone he'd never know. Compassion, huh? That's when things started getting creepy. Emily started posting Alex's photo, my photo, from my private Instagram, which she still had access to from years ago. No permission. Just re-uploading his baby pics with captions like, "Welcome to the world, sweet boy. Kyle would have loved you." She didn't tag me. She didn't ask. She used his name, Jonah. People in the comments were confused. Who's Jonah? Is that your son? Did Lauren name him after Kyle? One person wrote, "So beautiful he carries on Kyle's legacy." Emily just heart-reacted and said nothing to correct it. I confronted her in DMS, told her to take the posts down. She left me on red. So Jason sent her a cease and desist style message. He works in marketing, knows how to write stuff that sounds legal even when it's not. 2 hours later, the posts were gone. But then the emails started. From her friends, even from Kyle's sister, who I hadn't spoken to in over a year. They were subtle at first, emotional, framed as pleas. Please think about what this would have meant to him. Emily's hurting so much. This name, it's all she has left. And when I didn't respond, they got nastier. You're selfish. You stole her future. She'll never get to be a mom, and you're flaunting it. I'd never told her I was naming the baby Alec for my grandfather. Never told her that in the last week of his life he'd whispered, "Make sure my name doesn't die with me." I'd kept that sacred. Quiet. Just for me. And now I felt like even that was being invaded. But it got worse, because someone slashed the tires on Jason's car. And the photo frame with Kyle and Alec that Emily had set up at my mom's, it ended up shattered. Pieces of glass and a splintered smile. And suddenly everyone in the family was whispering that maybe I'd broken it, because grief makes you stupid. But obsession? Obsession makes you dangerous. I didn't break the photo frame, but I did tell my mom to take it down. And I'm guessing that's what pushed Emily over the edge, because 3 days later, Alec's name showed up on a baby registry that wasn't mine. Jonah Carter Williams, born July 14th, son of Emily and Kyle, in loving memory. It was full of nursery items. High-end stuff too. Crib, sound machine, organic swaddles. Even a diaper genie like she was planning to use it. And the kicker? She'd used a photo of Alec as the profile picture. I found out because a coworker texted me, confused, said she thought I'd had a boy, not a Jonah. And why was Emily listed as the mom? My stomach dropped. I clicked the link and there it was. A full-blown fantasy baby registry, shared publicly. Like she was cosplaying motherhood. With my child, I called her. She didn't pick up. I called again. Left a voicemail that was basically just me hyperventilating and saying her name like a prayer and a curse. Then I called my mom. "Tell me you didn't know about this," I said. She was quiet for too long. "I didn't think she'd go that far," she finally whispered. "I thought she was just healing." "She's impersonating my child's mother online," I said. "That's not healing. That's delusional." Jason took screenshots of everything. I called the registry company and reported it as fraudulent. It took them 2 days to take it down. 2 days where God knows how many people saw Alec's face and thought Emily was the grieving widow mother of a dead man's imaginary baby. 2 days where my uterus felt like it was curling in on itself from rage. And that's when the phone call came. From Kyle's mother. She hadn't spoken to Emily since the funeral. They'd fought badly. Emily had tried to get her to fund some grief support nonprofit in Kyle's name. But really it was a blog and a GoFundMe and a bunch of vague influencer dreams. Kyle's mom said no. Emily called her a bitter hag who never supported their love. But now she was calling me, and she was crying. "I need to tell you something," she said. "It's about Kyle, about the night he died." I sat down, heart pounding. Alec was asleep in his swing, the soft whir of the motor the only sound in the room. "He wasn't alone in the car," she said. My breath caught. "What?" "There was a woman with him. Passenger seat. Her name was Tessa. They'd been seeing each other." I was silent. She survived, Kyle's mom whispered. Had a broken collarbone and a concussion. She came to me afterward, told me everything. Said she didn't want to lie for Emily. Said Emily had known. They'd been fighting. Kyle was going to break off the engagement that night. Everything inside me went still. She kept talking, but I was already seeing it. Emily at the funeral, sobbing so hard she had to be carried out. The social media posts, the tattoo, the baby registry, and it all shifted in my brain. Not grief, not love, control. This whole time she wasn't mourning who Kyle was. She was mourning the story she wanted to tell. And Alec, my son, was her chance to write the ending she didn't get. Update 1. First off, thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, or even just screamed internally with me. I wasn't expecting this to blow up, and definitely wasn't ready for how many people saw through Emily faster than I did. There was one comment that stuck with me. She's not grieving a person, she's grieving a role she wanted to play. That hit harder than it should have. So, I confronted her. Not dramatic, not loud, just calm. Scary calm, actually. Jason held Alec in the other room while I invited her over. Told her I wanted to talk. She came, probably thinking I was ready to cave. She wore mascara, like this was a reunion, not an ambush. I didn't even waste time. I just asked, "Were you ever going to tell me Kyle was planning to leave you?" She froze. Like full freeze, like buffering wheel on your TV froze. And then she laughed. A dry, humorless thing that crawled under my skin. "Oh, so you talked to the bitter bitch," she said, meaning Kyle's mom. She knew. She knew that Tessa survived, that Kyle was leaving her, and she still built a whole shrine in my son's name. "Why does it matter?" she snapped. "He's dead. I was his fiancé. That's what people remember. Not some one-night mistake with a wannabe Pilates instructor." I sat there shaking, not scared, just vibrating with this new clarity. She never wanted Alec to honor Kyle. She wanted Alec to replace what Kyle took with him when he died. The illusion that she was the center of someone's world. I said, "You're never seeing Alec again. Not ever." She called me dramatic. Then she went full tilt, started screaming, like full voice, about how I stole her last chance at meaning, how I was erasing Kyle, how I was just jealous she had real love, and I was settling for Jason. Jason came out of the bedroom at that point, holding Alec close, and said one word, "Leave." She didn't. Not until Jason picked up his phone and started dialing our lawyer. Then she left. But not quietly. She threw her coffee cup on our porch on the way out. It shattered. So did something else in me. We've filed a no-contact order. We're also sending a formal legal notice about unauthorized use of Alec's photos. Jason's marketing friends are helping us draft it. She's locked down her social accounts, but not before I archived everything. And the broken photo frame? I mailed it back to her. Taped the pieces to a letter that said, "This isn't your family. This isn't your story. Stay away from mine." Funny how quiet the family got after that. Funny how fast people stopped saying her name when the mask slips. I thought that would be the end. Really, I did. I thought mailing back that frame would be the final nail in her delusion, like holding up a mirror to her and forcing her to see how insane it all was. But see, Emily doesn't lose quietly. When she feels cornered, she doesn't retreat. She explodes. It started with the texts. Not to me, to everyone else. She messaged my friends, my coworkers, my postpartum doula, Jason's cousin who she's never even met. Long, unhinged paragraphs about how I was punishing her for loving too deeply, how I was gatekeeping grief, and how I used Alec like a weapon. Then she started emailing Jason's employer, claimed he emotionally manipulated her and made veiled threats, tried to tank his job, except Jason's boss literally replied, "Ma'am, please seek therapy," and then blocked her. She didn't stop. She called CPS. Yeah, that happened. Claimed we were unstable, that Alec was being raised in a hostile, aggressive household, that there had been violent incidents. It was all lies, but CPS still had to follow protocol. Alec was 11 weeks old. I had to open my front door in milk-stained sweatpants and walk a social worker through our nursery while trying not to scream. Show them the fridge, Alec's medical records, our car seat. I was shaking so hard I could barely speak. The social worker was kind, calm, said it was clearly a false report, that it happens more often than people realize when families are under stress. But she also said something I'll never forget. "Whoever made this report knew just enough about your life to hurt you. That's not random. That's targeted." And that's when I snapped. No more boundaries. No more waiting for her to hang herself. I was done playing defense. So I called Kyle's mom. I asked one thing. "Can I tell the truth?" She paused, then said, "Burn her to the ground." So I did. I wrote a post. Not here. Facebook. The same place Emily had once posted Alec's photo under a different name. I didn't name call. Didn't scream. I told the truth. About Kyle. About Tessa. About the car crash and the lies and the fake registry. About the CPS call. About the baby she tried to claim as hers. And I ended it with this. My son is named Alec, after a man who showed me how to live with integrity. He is not a second coming of your tragedy. He is not your redemption arc. And if you ever come near him again, I will make sure the only legacy you leave behind is a permanent restraining order and a Google trail of court records. I posted it, screenshots and all, left it up for exactly 24 hours. Then I deactivated my account and let it burn. The fallout? Oh, I'll tell you. But you're going to want to sit down for what happened next. Within 6 hours of that post going up, Emily's life began unraveling like someone yanked the last stitch on a badly knit sweater. People who'd been her comfort zone, mutuals, co-workers, Kyle's old friends, started sharing it, commenting, calling her out, asking hard questions. And by that evening, someone sent me a screenshot. Emily had deleted everything. Her Facebook, her Instagram, even her LinkedIn, gone. But the thing about going scorched earth is, it doesn't leave anything for you to hide behind. By the next morning, my phone was blowing up. First from people apologizing for ever doubting me. Then from someone I never expected. Tessa. Yeah, Tessa, the woman Kyle was with the night he died. She emailed me. Said she saw the post through a mutual friend. Said she'd been scared to come forward, afraid people would think she was lying or trying to make it about herself. But now? Thank you for saying the thing I was too afraid to say, she wrote. And then she attached something. A photo. It was Kyle, sitting on a blanket in a park, wearing sunglasses, smiling at someone just out of frame, a picnic basket, a bottle of wine, the timestamp, the same week he was supposed to be at couples therapy with Emily. Tessa gave me permission to share it, said if Emily tried anything else, I could show it to anyone who needed proof. She was done protecting a ghost. And the best part? Turns out Emily's grief blog, yeah, the one she'd quietly tried to restart after the fake baby registry got nuked, was being monitored by a publisher, one that had been considering a small grief memoir deal. Nothing major, but still a platform. They emailed me too, professional, cold, said they'd reviewed the public allegations, had spoken to Kyle's family, and would not be moving forward with any project involving Emily. Poetic justice. But the real cherry on top? My mom, the great fence-sitter of our family. She showed up at my house unannounced a week later. I opened the door, fully prepared to fight, but she was crying. I didn't know, she whispered. I didn't want to know. She lied to all of us. I didn't hug her, didn't offer tea. I just stood there. And for once, she didn't ask to come in. She left with her head down. I thought that would be it. And then came the message. From Emily. Not to me, to Jason. One line. She turned everyone against me. She always does. She takes and takes, just like with Kyle. Jason didn't respond. He printed it out, filed it, because court is coming next. Update 2. First, let me just say, some of y'all in the comments deserve honorary therapist licenses. Like, damn, the insight, the rage, the detective-level speculation about Emily's mental state, unmatched. Special shout-out to the person who said, "You're not her sister, you're her stagehand." I read that at 3 a.m. while nursing Alec and damn near spit breast milk on my phone. South. Here's what happened next. We filed for a formal protective order, not just a no-contact warning, a legal, court-backed restraining order. Our lawyer advised we include Alec explicitly, since Emily had repeatedly targeted him in ways that felt emotionally predatory. The CPS call, the photo misuse, the fake registry, it all went into the affidavit. The judge read everything, and I do mean everything. Every screenshot, every email, every insane baby post captioned with Jonah. When they got to the registry screenshot and saw Alec's picture labeled as son of Emily and Kyle, the judge literally said, Jesus Christ. The order was granted. 500 feet, 0 contact, including via third parties. 1 violation, and it becomes criminal. Emily didn't even show up to court. She sent a statement through her lawyer claiming severe emotional trauma, online bullying, and a coordinated campaign to silence her grief journey. The judge was not moved. But it didn't stop there. Jason's employer officially blacklisted her from any future PR projects. Turns out her smear emails had reached higher than she thought. 2 of her grief support blog sponsors pulled funding after my Facebook post circulated. And then, Kyle's mom filed her own restraining order against Emily. Turns out Emily had been showing up at her work. Twice. Once to drop off a memorial candle, and another time just stood outside her office building with a sign that said, "Your silence killed him." Kyle's mom? She's a freaking school principal. She had to file a police report while 6th graders watched from the hallway. So now Emily's not just socially exiled, she's legally cornered. And still, she tried one more thing. A letter. Handwritten. Delivered by some mutual ex-friend who apparently still thinks family should try to heal. I burned it. Didn't read it. Not because I was scared, but because I knew exactly what it would say. That I was cruel. That I stole her family. That Alec could have healed us both. And maybe once I would have felt guilty. but not anymore. Because Alec isn't a bandage, he's not a symbol. He's a person. And I will never let anyone, even family, use him as a prop for their broken narrative. We're safe now. And Emily? No one's saying her name anymore. Not out of fear, out of disgust. It's been 3 months since the last court hearing. 3 months of silence. Of no unexpected knocks on the door. No baby photo theft. No emails from her inner circle claiming I misunderstood grief. Emily disappeared. Not literally. She still lives in town, last I heard. But it's like someone flipped a switch and the oxygen she used to demand from every room vanished. The people who used to defend her? Ghosts. The aunt who once messaged me that grief makes people act out? She sent Alec a birthday card last week. Signed only her name, not hers and Emily's. Jason and I moved. Not far. Just enough for peace. A little townhouse with better locks, no shared walls, and a tiny fenced-in patio where I can sit and breathe while Alec naps. We donated the bassinet and bought a real crib. We bought a sound machine that doesn't remind me of court affidavits. And for the first time since my C-section scar stopped aching, I can actually hear myself think. But here's the thing. Grief isn't tidy. It leaves splinters. I still flinch when I see unmarked mail. Still check my rearview mirror more than I used to. I still keep a folder labeled evidence on our desktop, just in case. But Alec? He's thriving, laughs like a drunk goose, pulls my hair with purpose, says Dada way more than mama, and I'm not even mad about it. He's real, rooted, nothing like the ghost Emily tried to paste over his face. And last week, I finally told him about his name. We were lying on the rug. He was chewing on a plastic giraffe. I whispered the story. Not the whole twisted saga, just the part that matters. You're named after my grandfather, I said. He held my hand when I was little, taught me how to use a hammer, called me champ, even when I failed my driver's test. Alec blinked at me, then farted. Poetic. But it mattered. Because that's the part Emily never understood. Names don't make people immortal. Love does. The kind you show up for. Earn. Repeat. Not the kind you hijack like a stage role you didn't get. And then, something strange happened. At the grocery store, just aisle 4, I saw her. Emily. Alone, no cart, no makeup, same hoodie from a year ago. Sleeves chewed at the wrists. She saw me, paused. And in that second, I swear, I saw something flicker behind her eyes. Shame? Regret? Or maybe just the weight of a story she no longer controls. She didn't speak. She didn't even try. She just turned around and walked out of the store like she didn't know me. Like we'd never shared bunk beds. Never held hands at Kyle's funeral. Never stood on opposite sides of a nursery. One of us whispering Jonah, the other whispering Alec. And in that moment, I felt nothing. No hate, no fear, no righteous fire. Just done. Alec turned 1 last week. We didn't throw a huge party, just a few friends, some homemade cupcakes, a balloon arch I stayed up way too late building, and a playlist Jason made that somehow included both Billie Eilish and Raffi. Alec smushed frosting into his eyebrows and squealed like he'd invented sugar. It was chaos and it was perfect. We did something small but important too. We planted a tree, a little oak in the corner of our backyard. Jason dug the hole. I held Alec's hand as he dropped in a handful of dirt. Then we buried something beneath the roots. A letter, folded twice, taped shut. It says, "You are named for a man who built things that lasted. Be like him. You are not a replacement. You are not a legacy. You are the beginning of something new. And if anyone ever tries to make you a symbol, tear it down." I signed it just Mom. It felt right, letting it go into the ground, letting it grow into something real. I haven't heard from Emily since the grocery store. Not a text, not a sighting, not a whisper. It's like the world finally caught up with what I already knew. She was never the center of the story, just a shadow pretending to be a flame. The rest of the family keeps their distance, and I'm okay with that. My circle's smaller now, but it's clean, solid, no rot in the roots. Jason asked me the other night, curled up on the couch, "Do you think she'll ever try again?" I paused, thought about the registry, the CPS call, the shrine, the way she looked at Alec like he was a chance she didn't earn. "No," I said finally, "because it's not about Alec anymore. It never really was. And I believe that, because when people like Emily lose their story, they don't rewrite it. They just disappear." Alec is sleeping in his crib now, one arm flung over his head like a tiny, exhausted king. And I'm sitting at the kitchen table typing this out, finishing something I didn't know needed an ending. But it does. This is the end. Of the silence, of the pretending, of the idea that family gets to hurt you and still demand a front row seat in your life. We name our kids for what matters, not for what haunts us. And when my son is old enough to ask what happened, why he doesn't know his aunt, I'll tell him the truth. Not the cruel version, just the honest one. Yeah, man. She loved a story more than she loved the people in it, and he'll understand. Because he'll have grown up in something real. And that's the only legacy that matters.